What if I don't have good mentors, or I didn't go to the good education, or, my partner doesn't support me in going after this quantum leap? How can someone navigate that? How can they create that abundance factor, that quantum leap with all this?
Have you run across this book by Maria Konnikova called The Biggest Bluff?
Yeah, I had her on the show. She's great.
She is great. And the thing I love is that story she tells in the book about this study that she did. Well, actually, I guess this guy named Ingo Fielder, I think he was an economist or something again, but he does this study of, he studies poker hands online, hundreds of thousands of them over a 6-month period. And what he found is that the best hand, having the best hand, won only 12% of the time.
Isn't that crazy?
It is absolutely crazy. So the vast percentage of the time, it was the best player. And so I think what we're talking about here is, and what I'm trying to do in U Squared is, here's how you play. There are always going to be constraints, always going to be limitations. And if we can hack that and use them to our advantage, because so much of the time, well, we need constraints. Sometimes I'm going to try to write a blog, and I can't figure out what in the heck to write because, well, there are too many things. But if Kim, who's over our publishing wing, if she comes in and says, I would like for you to write a blog about X. Oh, it's a funny. All of a sudden, I've got some constraints. It's boxed. And she says, and we need it by day after tomorrow. And,
it can only be this many words.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And it can't be like anything you've written before. I don't know, but the constraints, we're pretty helpless without constraints.
Yeah. Having structure actually allows you to be more creative and more artistic in my mind.
Yeah.
And if you're just like, okay, paint me a painting. Here's a canvas, like, go. It's like, you don't know you can do anything you want. But when it's like, I want you to paint with oil or acrylic or pencil, and I want you to paint this specific thing in your own style, then you have some direction, you have some borders, some guideline where you can be extremely artistic.
It's kind of funny. And really, that's what goal setting does for us as an individual. It gives us direction. It gives us some framework. Here's the sandbox.
Yes.
Here's this glorious sandbox.
Go play in it. Yeah. But most people are trying too hard. People are trying really hard. They say, and I learned this in sports growing up. So there's kind of a paradox to this, because there needs to be consistent effort. There needs to be effort over time. You have to be consistent in showing up. You can't just show up once in a while and put in zero effort. And definitely working hard consistently over time made me a better athlete, made me better in business, all these different things. But here's a story from your book that I love that I'm going to read. It's a true story. It says, I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Microsoft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder. I'm just going to push through this window. And we've all seen this story. We've all seen and witnessed flies just pounding against a window, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. No fly will ever be able to break through that glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. The fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. And across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is right there. It could be so easy. You go on to finish the story, but and you talk about why doesn't the fly just turn around and see a different possibility 10 feet away and just fly into freedom. And he doesn't, or she doesn't. This fly doesn't do this. Most of the time, it never happens. Why is that reflective to human beings, where we see a wall, we just try to push through it, we just hurt ourselves, we just grind it out, we hustle harder, but all we need to do is turn around or do a 360 and see a different possibility and walk more effortlessly towards our desired future and our desired vision. But at the same hand, there is effort and consistent hard work that creates results as well. So how do we think of that paradox and move towards something in an unconventional way rather than a conventional hard way?
Well, you highlight a real important thing here in the book. Selective persistence is very important. And so how do we know that we're being smartly, selectively persisting, as opposed to just being dumb, and at best, shooting for incremental improvement of some kind or other. I think this is the crux of a quantum leap. It's so hard for people. I think it's harder than the doubt thing.
Wow.
Although they're kind of married, I guess, in a way.
Really?
It is so hard for people to change their approach. It's easier for somebody to start something brand spanking new, like we're going to start a rock and roll band. Well, that was outrageous.
That's unconventional. Yeah.
I mean, that was a rabid dream of some kind, but it wasn't like changing from something else in that same genre, so to speak. I find it's hard even for me and our company to really change the game. That's why your goal needs to be really, really a stretch goal. The heart is what sustains you through that. And so there, people talk about a passion for this goal. And I think, well, that's a fine word and it fits, but some people say, well, I just don't have that passion. Well, you just need to care for it, or at least be committed enough to it.